Hi guys, Maria here from Maria Unleashed. Welcome back. In today's episode, I have a very special guest for you. Her name is Rita Hencke. She is a photographer and an underwater filmmaker. And I saw her documentary Salt in Their Veins, and I knew I wanted to have her on the show and talk about this amazing documentary of hers. So sit back and enjoy while she talks about her journey of how she became not just a photographer but also underwater filmmaker, and how she started her passion project Salt in Their Veins. Enjoy. Please, again, do you want to share, like, what is it like to come back from Paradise Islands and now back in Munich? Just what's going on?
Well, it's definitely a bit of a shift coming back from like tropical environments, back to Europe, back to Munich, which is my hometown. I was born and raised here. I lived here for 18 years. And then I left to do an initial gap year that turned into many, many gap years after all. Now that I'm back in Munich, it's almost, rediscovering my hometown from the eyes of an adult, which is pretty cool and pretty crazy as well. But I also treat it as a temporary stop, so I'm already planning my move hopefully soon.
Yes, yeah, fingers crossed. So, for everyone who just tuned in, we just had a little talk off camera. I discovered Rita online. I saw her documentary, Salt in Their Veins, and I loved it. And I watched it twice, and I was like literally signing into all of my accounts, liking, sharing, because I thought this is amazing. I'm gonna ask her, maybe Rita wants to do a little podcast and tell me about her journey. And I'm so glad that you agreed. And now you're here. And yeah, it's such a pleasure, and I cannot wait. I want to hear everything about your documentary, what happened behind the scenes. But first of all, I would really like to know, how did you become a filmmaker and a photographer with the focus on underwater filming?
Thank you so much, Maria. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to be part of this conversation. The backstory to how I discovered my passion for photography and filmmaking actually, I would say, tracks back many years ago when I was working as a scuba diving instructor. So that was the first step. I was obsessed with the ocean. I'm a huge ocean enthusiast. And at the time, I was working in the Maldives in a beautiful island, witnessing incredible marine life. And one of the customers, she left as a little present a little point and shoot camera for me. It was a little gift, an underwater camera. And I had my first go with that. And soon that turned into a huge passion. So I would say my passion for the marine environment was there before it turned into passion for photography. And then throughout my time, I did more and more photography. Soon I upgraded to a slightly better camera. And then COVID hit. I lost my job in the tourism sector, so the resort in the Maldives had to shut down, of course, no more tourists. And I was really craving education, and I thought, great, this is almost like the world is on a still stand. And I looked into different university courses, and I found a course in the UK that was specialized in underwater photography, a university degree, and I couldn't believe it. I did not know you could study that, and I signed up to that course. And it's a photography-based course. And throughout those 3 years, I then sort of switched more into the filmmaking. It was quite a natural progress, transforming photography into the moving image.
Wow, nice. I also had no idea that's possible. Okay, so first came your passion, and then basically you kind of found your purpose in the sense of, hey, let's connect these two, like filming and my underwater, yeah, love for the ocean. But again, like I can, at least that's, again, the taste is always very, very personal. But when I watched your documentary, Salt in Their Veins, I was like, I just love the way you see it. It's so personal and it's so raw. And that's what I really love, because I personally, I don't like it when people just point out the most beautiful spots and just make it all shiny and like, oh, paradise, when in reality it's not all paradise. It is, but it isn't. And I just find it so special that you were able to capture both, like the locals, and again, it was very, yeah, you just had this amazing real talk with them and talked about what they are doing. And I remember it was those, I'm not sure how you call that, like in professional tongue, but it was when they put these explosives into the water. So, the fish die and you can fish a bit better and easier and faster. But to hear that all of them, every fisher agreed, like, no, I don't want to live in a world where I want to do this. But somehow I am here now where I have to do it to put some sort of food on the table. And I was like, wow, wow. Like really, I loved it. Everyone else out there, if you haven't seen it, go to YouTube. I'm gonna link everything below. Check it out. It's such a beautiful documentary and I just love everything about it. And it now has over 1 million views. And I said that earlier, I'm not sure, maybe I said it before here, but it was so cool to see how other people reacted to it and to see that more, like so many people loved it. And I'm like, what a cool community as well. So thank you guys if you are one of the people liking and subscribing. So yeah, I was so impressed. So impressed. What was your go-to? Was it like an accident, as in you happened to be there and then you decided, hey, let's make a film? Or did you go there with the intention to make this film?
That's actually a really good question. So it was more of a clear intention, but as you mentioned, the dynamite fishing that's going on, that was not the intention to film that. So basically the backstory to Salt in Their Veins is again coming from a passion of the ocean and of freediving. So I'm quite an avid scuba diver, freediver, and when I was in the UK, I was quite deeply connected with the freediving community there. And I researched a lot about the subject of freediving, and I came across the indigenous freediving community called Bajo, and they received a lot of media attention over the last few years because of their enlarged spleens. So spleen in German, in case we have a few German listeners tuning in, it's the milz, so the organ in the body. And the scientists, they found out that the Bajo people, or the Bajau people, they have bigger spleens than most people. And they tried to link this study to, and they discovered that most likely it's a genetic sort of like progression, or almost like an evolution, due to the fact that they go freediving so much. And having a bigger spleen is very advantageous when you go freediving, because it's responsible for the red blood cells, and that in turn gives you more oxygen. So the bigger the spleen, the longer the free dives. And these Bajo people, they have many names. So I think they got quite famous in the media as sea nomads, or even sea gypsies, sea people. They have been going freediving for centuries. And I just got so obsessed with that subject, and I studied all about them. And then I knew when it came to sort of like trying to come up with an idea for my film, I wanted to go and freedive with them and witness their amazing spearfishing capabilities firsthand. Only much, much, much later I found out that, you know, the reality isn't as romantic as media or even my perception was. There are lots of traditional freediving Bajo people left, but then there are also modern influences that make some of these individuals use dynamite fishing or fishing with harsh chemicals such as potassium cyanide. So that narrative was a progression throughout production, basically, when I met more people and got a better understanding of what's actually going on in those communities.
Wow, okay. I didn't even know. Like I didn't know that they actually evolved with it. Wow, okay. I had no idea. How long can you stay underwater when you freedive?
Oh, that really depends. So first of all, it depends on if you're training regularly or not. And the second
Okay.
factor is if you're moving. So in one of the freediving disciplines, you're literally just on top of a swimming pool and face down in the water, and your body is completely still. So in that
Yes.
static, what it's called static breath hold, your dive times are much, much longer, or your breath hold times. I would say I'm quite comfortable for, swimming around, let's say, a minute underwater.
Wow, that's so cool. That is so cool. I want to do that too. I wanted like since ever. Like I was a little kid when I told you when I sent you my email, like I want to dive with sharks. That's been my childhood dream, and I will eventually. And preferably, I want to do that without any, stuff on me. Like I want to free dive. But I thought, hey, maybe let's start with the gear. But turns out that I'm not very good at doing the stuff with my ear and the pressure. So I have huge difficulties doing that. And I was just wondering, do you have any tip? Like it's complete off the topic now, but do you have a tip for people like me when you start diving or free diving? Is there something you can recommend what to do to adjust the pressure a bit better and easier?
Yeah, so equalization is something that is definitely a huge subject, and it always concerns the freedivers. Um, I would say the biggest tip, and it's maybe not a very helpful tip, but it's really to be relaxed and comfortable. Because when your body is tense and you're more stressed, it's much harder to equalize your airspaces. So being relaxed is already a huge advantage, and it definitely helps. And then doing it frequently. So the longer you wait, and if you only equalize your ears and your sinuses, let's say, every 2 meters, it will already turn into a discomfort in your ears. So the more you do it,
Okay.
the easier it would get. But I recommend anyone who wants to get into freediving, there are lots of freediving centers, I think, in most spaces where there's ocean or lakes. So go with an instructor, and they will be able to tell you everything about the safety aspects of it, because it is a sport where it definitely makes sense to have the training to avoid injuring your body at the end of the day.
Oh yeah. For sure, for sure. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, obviously, the deeper you dive, the more dangerous it gets, and you have to be way more careful when you come up. So, yeah, it's crazy, but so amazing. And then I also like, because I'm also so obsessed with it, and it's so hard for me. I love watching people who are literally like fish in the water, right? Who can just go down and it seemingly like effortlessly. It's like zoom and they're down at the bottom. I'm like, what? It's so cool. And that was actually the reason I clicked onto the first of all, I love the title and I love your thumbnail. I mean, that alone is like it's like a piece of little art actually. And yeah, I loved it. Again, that was for me, my motivation to click was like, oh wow, I want to free dive, I want to see it. And also I love the setting and this again, like this for me paradise islands. Was that in Indonesia?
Yes, so my film is based in Southeast Sulawesi, which is a good maybe 2-day travel from
Oh
Bali.
wow.
So it's quite remote. It's in Wakatobi National Park.
Wow, okay. Wow. Is that, can you just go there or do you need some sort of permission?
You're able to just go there. It's not very easy to reach, so be prepared for long boat trips and another boat and another boat and another boat. But you don't need any permits. It's open to tourists. But yeah,
Wow.
it's an incredible area in this world. It's beautiful. The reefs are stunning. The visibility is plenty. Good weather, turquoise waters. So it's a little paradise on earth.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it. Again, you capture it very well. But what I also liked is there was one shot, and you could actually see that was where the little huts were, and there were like you saw plastic and stuff like that. And I like that you leave it in because it's obviously not it's reality. So I really liked you captured the beautiful side, but then when you go to this side, there's also the reality of things. Like, what was your experience with like being with the locals? Like, how are they dealing with their daily lives, and do they have an idea how to do it better, how to go back to the old ways and maybe don't use plastic, don't use the dynamite or something? I don't know. Yeah, did it tell you anything like what they wish for the future?
Well, I had many conversations, but I think my main motivation when I was there and on set shooting was to step back and be an observer. So I didn't want to, especially working with quite a fine nuanced, indigenous community where there is lots of complexities going on in the background. I didn't want to point any fingers and say,
Yeah.
oh, do this better, or I didn't want
Yeah.
to victimize anyone and say, oh, they don't know any better, that's just how they do it. So I wanted to be just an observer and let the film speak for itself, and then in the end of the day have the audience to take whatever they want to take from the film without me trying to push any opinion on it. So that was my main motivation, but I did talk to lots of locals, and especially talking to the elders. There was a bit of a language barrier. We communicated with, Google Translate.
Yes.
I had a friend, or I met a friend there who spoke, English or broken English. So he was very kind in helping me translate some of the conversations. And I tried to learn basic Bahasa Indonesia as well. So from the conversations, I gathered that back in the days, there was much more fish. Life seemed much easier, and that's almost, the elders were almost like reminiscing about that time and thinking back and now saying, now it's so much harder. But there is at least I didn't notice a strong motivation for action. Let's change it. It was almost sort of like an acceptance that the modern world is influencing that community so much, and it's just part of the cycle. And now we have all these new resources. We use plastic because it's much easier. We use fuel because our boats are much faster. We use dynamite because it makes more money. It's more like a acceptance.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, what you just said, like you didn't point any fingers, and that's also what I like, because you just literally captured the moments. And yeah, for me, it was also very interesting to see, because I travel the world a lot as well. I meet a lot of local and indigenous people, and it's funny because most of them always say the same. Like, it's funny how that changed. Like, on one hand, it was harder but also easier back in the day, and then now, we have all these advantages and all the digital devices that help us out, but some other things just became so much harder. And how do you do that? Like, how do you carry that, this tradition into the future? It's not easy. It's really not easy. But again, I really liked how you captured it and how honest they spoke about it too. Because yeah, I guess it's also not easy to admit, like, hey, what we're doing is actually not cool and we don't like it. And that's what I was like, oh, amazing. They actually also don't want to do it. So maybe there is a way in the future to, yeah, I don't know, do it better. Well, I don't know. But it was really, for me, very cool, very good to hear that they are aware and they actually don't want to hurt the ocean, and they love it and it's their home. And it's really nice to meet people like that who are just like totally in love with this beautiful planet. So yeah, again, great documentary.
Thank you so much. I think that it's also very hard to speak of the community as just sort of like a collective, because there are individuals who live by a very traditional way of fishing, and what they do is they go spear fishing, and maybe they capture 5 to 10 fish a day that will provide for their family. And then there are individuals who are maybe a bit more under the modern influences and use different techniques, some of them being destructive. So it's very hard saying that, the village is, or that community is losing their traditions. But it was sort of like showing individuals being more traditional versus individuals who are more modern. And I think I just wanted to show that contrast without maybe, putting too much meaning on the Bajo as a collective group,
Yes.
if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, totally. It does. It does. And I really love it. Like, again, like, it's so beautiful to see people like this who just don't judge and don't always blame, but to just observe. Yeah, I love, again, like, it really spoke to me. And it was so cool to hear these people like the individual people speak about their daily lives and what it's like. I love that. So when you went there the very first time, because you had in general you did 3 trips, right? Or 2? It was more than one, I believe.
3 trips altogether.
Yeah. The first time you went, was that the very first time? Like, was it your first stay there in general?
Yes, so it was a huge gamble. Basically, I was all by myself. Um, I did a lot of research and I had a name, and that's all I had. So, through a filmmaker friend, Sam Mansfield, who previously produced a BBC documentary, Hunters of the South Sea. So, he was already in that village before, and I reached out to him and asked, do you have any tips? Do you have any advice on, approaching that specific village? And he said, listen, they are not connected with phones, or I don't have anyone, any contact I can pass on. But what he did, he gave me a name of one of the villages, and he sent me a selfie of himself wearing a traditional freediving goggle, a present they gave to him. So I was by myself traveling, I think 3 days, 4 days from London to remote Indonesia. And
Oh my
I
God.
basically arrived there and I asked one of the villagers, please bring me to the house of, and I said the name that Sam gave to me. And then I knocked on the bamboo door and said, hello, here I am. My name is Rita. And I went from there. So I had no idea whether I was actually able to create access or not. But I also took quite a careful approach. So I was not staying on the village. So they are, it's a village that's built on stilt in the tidal zone. So I stayed on the nearby island and I did day trips back and forth to that water village for the first few days, until I felt comfortable enough to ask the family if I can stay with them. So just, from a place of respect, I didn't want to, for it to be too overwhelming for them or too intense. So that was my very first trip. After a while, I stayed with them and I met lots of friends. I got to know lots of people. I went freediving a lot. But during this time, I didn't actually do any filming. So I was treating it more as location scouting. However, I did take lots of photos because I found that barrier was easier to cross. Photography was a tool that I felt was a bit less in their face. And I was able to capture, a few snapshots here and there. And I had a pocket printer with me, so I could print some of the photos that I took of them and give them to the families. And that's, I thought it was quite valuable for them because they had some family pictures that they could, hang on their walls, and the kids loved it as well. So I did photographs instead of filming. But then after that trip, I knew that I can actually create or come up with an entire shooting plan for my next visit.
Wow. I love it. I love it. Wow. Okay, cool. And then basically you decided, wow, that's amazing. I want to do a project. Like, I want to bring my camera. So you went back to London, organized that, I guess, and then back to Indonesia.
Yes, so this film project, I was still affiliated with uni, so with my film degree I was doing at the time. So I think I had a few months in between to plan out the production process a bit better. However, it was still a independently led project. So it was very makeshift. I didn't have like a production studio behind me. It was sort of my own project. I used my own equipment. I organized the wheres and hows and whens, and I finally came back for another, I think, 3 weeks in order to stay with them and shoot.
Wow. Okay, so everything we see in the documentary has been filmed within 3 weeks.
Yes and no. So I filmed on 2 locations. One is that Stilt village, and that was filmed within 3 weeks. But then I also later on went to another island. So that's some of the scenes we can see. It's the same community, so they also belong to the community of Bajo, just a slightly different location.
Right, okay. Wow, that's so cool. And it's fast as well. Like, I don't know, but again, like I used to work in film as well, and I know that projects can take a long time, especially when it's out in nature. But it's just amazing, like, and also that you did it all by yourself. Did you go alone or did you bring someone to help you the second time?
The second time, my partner at the time was kind enough to join me, which was incredible. So even though I had made lots of friends, it was still good to have that, help, that support a little
Yeah.
bit. And I also found that creating access was a little bit easier because I had the feeling I was playing it as a team. Especially as we got introduced to a few people who were, doing lots of illegal fishing, and I just felt a bit more safe working with dynamite fishermen with my partner. So it was good to be with him. On the very last time shooting, so the third time altogether, I was by myself again though. So this was on the
Okay.
last island, and it was just me during that time.
Wow, okay. It's incredible. Really, really cool. Can you talk a little bit about the equipment you use? Because again, like for me, I see it, I see the film, and I'm like, this is amazing. And then I have my boyfriend, he comes, what camera did she use? What sound, what mic? I'm like, I don't know. So for everyone who wants to know a little bit more tech details, can you share your equipment?
Of course. So I was creating my plan based on what I already had. So I was on a quite tight budget, so I wasn't able to buy lots of new pieces of kit. And also I was thinking, how can I transport that? Because the journey I had to do to go to reach location was on little traditional rowing boats. So they're called lepas, and basically everything gets wet. So you pack everything up in little bags, and you try to waterproof them. But I knew that I had to restrict my size a little bit. My main camera I used was my Sony, so it's a Sony A7C. It's a pretty small camera, but it's still a full frame camera. And I also used my phone for some of the footage.
Okay.
So pretty, makeshift. I have an underwater housing that allows me to take that camera in the water. So the Sony camera, it's a Nauticam housing, and I have a macro and a wide angle setup for that. But I think only use the wide angle setup for all the underwater footage. I have 2 strobe lights attached to the underwater housing. So especially when it comes to photography, that was quite nice and gave me a bit more room to play with. The thumbnail that you were talking about earlier, it shows a little girl playing in the water, and you can see the bamboo stilts in the background. So that's shot with external flash. And then I had a small microphone. I had a drone. I worked in a dive center between my shoots just to save up money for the drone. So that was a nice new toy. I tried it actually for the first time while I was in Indonesia. And I think that's pretty much about it. I didn't bring a tripod. So because I didn't have any room for it anymore, so all the interviews, whenever I needed a very still and not moving image, I had to get creative and use something I found.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. I just really love to see how people just go for it. You have an idea, you have a dream, and you make it work. And this is how you start. And that's why I really love to share these stories with other people, because these days I meet a lot of people, and including me also. When I started this podcast, I was also like, oh, I don't have a professional studio, I don't have this, I don't have that. And my boyfriend's like, let's work with what we have and just, figure it out along the way. And then what you said, like suddenly you have a drone, what an upgrade. And then, you integrate that into your project. And then maybe for the next, you have a new little toy that, upgrades the project a little. So it's step by step by step. And again, like sometimes I really like these little handmade, um, yeah, little signs of being handmade. I really do appreciate it. Like that makes it super special.
I totally agree. I think it's actually when you're starting out in film, it's not necessarily about the camera you use, it's more about the narrative. And if you have the best equipment in the world and you have access to all those beautiful, tools that can create like a really high-grade cinematographic touch, but your story is not there, then it's also going to affect the entire production. And I was just trying to play it sort of in the realms of my what I can even create. So it was either a makeshift production or nothing. So I said, okay, let's do it. I'm going to I'm just going to do it and try to create something out of my out of the things I have access to.
Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful. And then when you get back, the post production starts. How long does that take to until you have a finished film?
I don't really remember the months I've spent, but it did take up, I would say, at least 3 months just out of memories, just to sort through all the video clips, filter out, decide what comes into the first assembly or into the rough assembly, and then, yeah, fine-tuning everything. I definitely spent many, many hours trying to get everything organized, especially because it's not something that I've spent lots of time doing before, especially when it went into color grading, sound design. So it involved also learning many new things about that, art of post-production. Again, I was very, very lucky to have amazing supporting people in my network who were able to help me with the underwater color grading, which quite honestly was a pain in the butt. So I was very I got some help, which I really appreciated.
Wow, cool. But yeah, many people don't really see how much effort it takes, hey, to first of all have this idea, like from idea to actually doing it, like to really make it happen. And then what you said, now you have it and you film, but now all the post starts. And then what happens after? Like, let's say you are done with your project. Do you apply for like, I don't know, film festivals, or how do you get from, finished project to, okay, people know my full documentary?
So when it came to thinking about distribution, um, I settled for the strategy of trying to get into film festivals before. So there was a little hiccup I had in between. I had to change some of my music. So the project was basically already complete or completed, but I was lacking some copyright. So there was some like legal issues. So I found a beautiful composer who then recreated some new music, Rita Hencke. She was amazing to work with. And then once the project was complete, I applied for lots of film festivals where I thought my film was able to sort of or touch into the same subject matter. So lots of environmental film festivals or student film festivals or aspiring filmmaker film festivals. And I was lucky enough to have some screenings. This was in 2024, most of them. Okay. And I even won some awards, which was incredible and just a beautiful feedback after putting so much work in. And once that festival season was over, and I had the feeling that it had a fair share of exposure through those film festivals, I then decided to publicly release it on YouTube.
Yes. And I'm so glad you did. And again, I want to say thank you for everyone who supported you because isn't that so cool to see? Like, when the community loves it. And I just earlier, I said it, I wanted to check how many views it had, because when I saw it the first time, it was just above 30K, and then just a week or two later already hit the million. And I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. And because I know how much effort you really put into your projects, just because I used to work in the film industry as well, it's so nice to see when people appreciate it and love it. And yeah, it just made me very, very happy to see that people are not fed up with this type of topic, but that they actually really appreciated it. So cool.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I was very surprised because I started with a small following on YouTube, and I think my film got into some algorithm, and then it got sort of spread and managed to reach a wider audience. But for me, that was of course very, very nice. But what really got under my skin was the messages that received me from all over the world. And I love to see how the film resonated with so many people, and I've got messages from the fishing government in Indonesia saying, "Wow, I can feel your film so much because it's such a big problem, but there is so little we can do about the policies and integrating sustainable fishing and indigenous fishing rights and." Having so many different opinions from people across the world, I really felt very happy that it reached where it should reach. So that felt really rewarding.
Yeah, amazing. Do you have a new project coming up already?
Yeah, so I am trying, it's early stages. So with documentary filmmaking, there is a limiting factor, which is the funding. It's always, it's an industry where, of course, there is not as much money, let's say, for lots of projects. So you have to constantly figure out your funding either through grants or through investors or brands, collaborations. So early stages, but I have two super exciting projects coming up for 25. One is a dyslexia awareness campaign in the UK with a beautiful friend of mine who is a model, an underwater model, a free diver, a mermaid, a professional mermaid, and she's also an mental health advocate, and she is creating a film project about her challenges living with dyslexia, ADHD, and autism, and how the sea has given her a voice and a way to cope with her challenges. So I'm super excited for that project. I hope we will receive the funding and can go into production this year. And I have another project coming up, which is actually almost like a follow-up of Salt in Their Veins. It's about the Sama Bajau community in Malaysia. So they are a similar lineage. So the Bajo people, they all come from nomadic people. So they used to be completely stateless, living on houseboats. And there are different sort of groups spread out across Southeast Asia. So you can find the Sama Bajau living in Malaysia. You can find the Bajo in Indonesia. You can find them in southern Philippines as well. And they all struggle with similar subjects of, marginalization, being statelessness, loss of biodiversity, overfishing, pollution. So there are very, similar subjects. And a producer has approached me to ask to create a film on Sama Bajau people in Sabah. So I'm excited for that production as well.
Cool. Is that both happening this year?
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Fingers crossed. It sounds really, really nice. And can you imagine to ever do, let's say, a film more like on the commercial side? Or is it really about the project and the soul behind this whole idea or the film idea?
I think, again, that's, the question of funding and making money. I'm definitely, I think that, and this is also something that I would, tell to emerging filmmakers, it's okay to do something that's not your passion project. Because at the end of the day, we all have to create an income for ourselves. So I'm trying to find a setup where I have space and time that allows me to do those projects that I have energy for, that I burn for, and really have all the motivation and drive. And of course, I would like to, have some sort of income on those as well. But I'm also willing to have, I call bread and butter job, where I can pay my bills. And if that's commercial filming, I would be very grateful for those experiences as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was for me the same vibe. Like, I used to do film, and that was my heart projects, like all of them, because I love film. But again, never really in nature or documentary. So always with other people, and sometimes very big productions. And then I also started doing commercials, and that is such a different world. And I also thought, okay, now I'm making so much more money in such a short period of time. But what we are filming here, I mean, the world doesn't need it. It's crazy. We are selling people crap they don't need. And that was for me the point to say, okay, again, what you said, like, it definitely pays the bills. But at some point I was like, okay, now there is no excuse anymore, because I really, my heart is not in it. And I want to spend my time here creating something, I don't know, with a positive impact. So yeah, I totally feel that. But I agree with you. Like, if that enables you to pursue your passion projects, do it, really. And then maybe at some point you don't have to do it anymore, because now your passion project brings in the money. So yeah, that would be
Absolutely.
dream.
It's all about finding that balance to create, a long-term vision for for yourself, for your career.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have another tip for upcoming filmmakers?
I think, and this is something that I've really learned from one of my lecturers at university, Anna Roberts. She's an amazing director. She does lots of national history, filmmaking, conservation stories. And I think actually it was because of her that I got so into filmmaking, because I don't know if you have a similar experience when you meet someone that's so inspiring and passionate about something that can completely, it's almost contagious and can completely get you into that scene. And I really learned through her teachings that it's all about the narrative. And I think that's something I try to keep in mind with my projects, to really know what you want to say with the film and what is the story, rather than just shooting lots of footage and then trying to do the magic in post-production. Really think about having a beautiful thread throughout the film that tells the story in a much more powerful way. So do the research. I think that's also a big one. To spend lots of time on researching your subject, creating access, contacting lots of filmmakers or NGOs or people who work with that. I found the community generally being incredibly open-minded and accepting, always willing to share ideas, experiences. So I would say don't be shy to reach out to anyone to ask for any insights. And then plan your shoot, and even if it's a small project, just start. You have to start somewhere, so give it a crack.
I love it. Definitely. For sure. Yeah. And I also find very important that sometimes, as you said, just do it. Just don't do it for the outcome, like so many likes on YouTube, so many reach here and there, to just really do it because you want to do it, because you love it, and then other people are going to love it too. So yeah, I do believe that again, from my experience in film, where I was always like, I just love it, and people just are all in, like you. Again, like for me also, I watched it and I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. I want to talk to Rita. I want to talk to her about her project. That's so cool. Yeah, I love it. Like many people, that's so cool. Do you have other places that were like, because you said earlier, I can't remember if we were recording already or not, but you said that you left Munich right after school. Yeah, you did your gap year in Australia, and then you were basically gone for the next 10 years. Are there other places that have really like touched your heart and somewhat changed your life?
I think many places. I have a bit of a non-traditional background, I would say. So initially, after doing my gap year, I wanted to have some time in between my A-levels and university, which is, I think, something that quite a few people in Germany do at a very young age.
Yeah.
So I was one of them, and I just got a good old taste of that feeling of freedom and, you know, self-discovery. And I got my scuba diving instructor license during the time, and then I completely got sidetracked and absolutely loved it. So I was working for many years in very tropical, beautiful island places, where I lived in the Maldives, for instance, for a few years, in Fiji, in Indonesia, in Vietnam.
Wow.
So I was very lucky to work in paradise, see amazing marine life on a regular basis. So that was an incredible time. I wouldn't want to go back. I think I'm quite happy and comfortable with my passion for filmmaking now, and wanting to pursue that. But I'm very grateful about the experiences from back then as well.
Oh my God, what you just said, I was like literally this and that and Fiji, and I was like, what? That is my top goal. Like that's my, I don't know, if I'm 80, I don't care. Like this is a one place I really want to go to. Can you tell me a little bit about it? Like if from your experience, what it's like in Fiji?
Fiji is, there's only a few places that when you step out of the plane and you step your feet onto the soil, and you almost get like an electric feel all over your body. I felt so connected with the place. It was incredible. The locals are amazing, very friendly, very open. The land is very green. It's very fertile. When you go to the markets, you have a million different fruits, all ripe, all in season. So it was just juicy and delicious, the fruit from Fiji. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's very tropical. The rainforest is gorgeous, and so is the underwater world. So I worked in a shark diving center, and there are some big sharks. So if you like sharks, you should go to the Coral Coast in Fiji and see the bull sharks, the tiger sharks, the lemon sharks, the silver-tip sharks.
Wow. Wait, so you actually dived with bull sharks and tiger, like these two? I would not want to go into the water with. I'm more like a great white shark. Like that's why I said to you, like via my email, like I want to go and see Ocean Ramsey in Hawaii. I want to dive with her. Like who knows? You know, but that would be like I had her actually as when I was when I was young, and when I discovered her, I didn't have like any pictures of like celebrities, like big movie stars. So I actually had her as like my motivation. So yeah, who knows? Maybe someday. But that's crazy. So you actually dive with bull sharks. That's what I'm like.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I just stay on the boat and check it out from here.
Maria, you should definitely come dive with tiger sharks with me.
Okay.
It was very organized, I would say. There is a bit of a controversy as well, because the sharks on the Coral Coast, they're being fed. So there is people who don't want to support that type of business. But in the end of the day, it was all in the place, or it was in a marine park. It was a small area where the shark feeders were giving old leftovers from the tuna factories back to the ocean. There is a huge overfishing problem going on in Fiji. So after doing some research and staying in the place longer, I was actually able to full-heartedly support the shark feeding, because there are less natural resources for the sharks, and they are just getting fed the tuna heads from the factories that would otherwise be thrown away anyways. So we had a shark dive where the customers were able to witness the spectacle of the feeding, and that attracted bull sharks in large numbers. On a good day, more than 20, 30 bull sharks, swimming around, tigers. sometimes hammerhead sharks, and
Oh,
lots of
wow.
gray reef. It was really a shark paradise there.
Wow. Oh my God, that's insane. Yeah, okay, I'll let you know because it is gonna happen. I just don't know when yet, but it's gonna happen. Like, I really,
It's
really
gonna
want to.
happen.
Yes, for sure. Wow. Oh, that is so amazing. That's so amazing. That was my dream actually. I saved up to go to, like you, Australia before I turned 30. So, and that was just before COVID started. I didn't know that back then. So I was like saving up and like, cool, I'm going to go to Australia and do my work and travel there. And then from there, maybe New Zealand and then up to Fiji. That was a plan. And then COVID happened. And then now I'm too old for this working travel visa. And I'm like, oh, God damn it. I would have really liked that because it's so far away. So I don't want to go for just 2 weeks. I would really like to then really take advantage, while I'm there at the end of the world and just really check out Australia as well and then make it a whole year or 2 year trip. But now I don't think I can, but I will somehow find a different way for sure. And now even more.
Absolutely. It's definitely worth a trip. I also think, I don't quote me on that though, that
Yeah.
they changed their immigration rules. So there might be a chance where they changed around the age restrictions again.
Oh, that would be amazing. I was on the phone with the embassy every week, and they were like, I'm so sorry, but they have like more urgent situations going on. I'm like, I know, but it's really like so, it would be so amazing. That would be so cool. Last time I checked, it was for some European countries up to 35, but Germany wasn't part of it. Maybe it's part now. Thanks for letting me know, but I will get into that and research again. That would be so cool. Oh my God, that would be so cool. Let's see. Let's see.
Yeah, it's a stunning place. So I lived in Melbourne before I came back to Munich just
Okay.
recently, and that's also a really really lovely place if you want to see sharks. They have
Okay.
small sharks, so it's Port Jackson sharks and some very cute looking sort of like bottom feeding sharks. In the bay, they have some spectacular marine life to witness. For instance, the spider crab migration. So yeah, there is plenty to see, and then of course along the east coast where water gets a bit more tropical, you've got the coral as well as on the
Yeah.
west coast. So yeah, plenty for ocean enthusiasts to explore in Australia,
Oh,
and just a
wow.
short
Cool.
trip away to Fiji. So yeah, can
Exactly.
definitely recommend.
Exactly. Wow, cool. Did you say you spent time on the west coast in Australia? Because most people, they just go to the east coast.
No, actually, I haven't been to the west coast.
Yeah.
It's something I would like to do in the future.
Me too. Like I have it on my like this is also a place where I want to go. I don't know, maybe it's just my imagination, but I can imagine it's a bit wilder, a bit more I don't know, raw because it's not so touristy and it's not the spot everyone goes to. But what do I know? I don't know. Maybe if someone hears this and can tell us more about the West Coast in Australia, please let us know. I would really like to go and visit as well. Yeah, awesome. Actually, with a boat, like that would be even cooler to be so free and just go to every place you like. Oh my God, that's cool. Have you done that?
Absolutely.
Have you
On the
done like
boat,
traveling by sea? Yeah.
I was on a liveaboards before, so they are like diving focused, scuba diving focused trips where you travel from dive spot to dive spot and just they have a compressor on the boat, so you just jump in 4 times a day. That's yeah, pretty. That was pretty special.
Nice, yeah. And it must be such a hard contrast to now being back in Germany. I mean, it couldn't be more different. Like, especially Munich, you're not even like in the north by the coast. They have a little bit of water, a bit of ocean, but Munich, I mean, it's beautiful too, but it's just missing the ocean.
Yeah, I definitely find there is and I'm sure you can sort of, speak from your own experience here, being almost like a world citizen, but there is definitely a bit of an inner conflict going on where you are trying to, search for a home or a place that you can call home. But because of, traveling so much or living in so many places, it's almost like you are slowly starting to feel a bit disrooted, and you keep searching for places to, yeah, to stay and move to. So there is that almost like question about, you know, identity a bit, sort of what's my place, where in the world do I belong? And even though it's a very beautiful feeling, it can also feel a bit daunting and overwhelming at times.
Yeah, I totally agree. To be honest, I agree. I consider myself a citizen of the world. I love it. Like the world is my home. But obviously also I like to go there to, you know, different corners of the globe, but to really treat people there with a lot of respect. So I know, I'm fully aware that I am now a foreigner, so I definitely behave in a sense of, you know, I come and I'm just being respectful, you know. I really like and appreciate different cultures, and even though maybe it's not my personal preference, but still I'm a guest and I like to behave like one. And now I've been living here in Spain for a year, and yeah, seeing how people come and expats and just like, you know, it's like, I don't know, they feel a little bit too comfortable and are a little bit too, this is all mine. I'm here. I'm not learning Spanish. Da, da, da. They can speak English to me. And I'm like, no. Like, don't you want the same in Germany? Like, don't you want people to also come and just respect the, you know, different rules and languages and stuff? So I find it very important to, you know, love it, love the planet. And it's a shame that we have these borders and you are too old and you are only allowed until 30 and what. But I find it important that people come and just treat different cultures, different places, you know, like respectfully. So, yeah, maybe in the future.
Absolutely, I really agree.
So let's see what happens. But wouldn't it be cool to have a passport, just like the world passport? And then as long as you don't, you know, take money from different governments, as long as you are self-funded, you could just be and live there. Oh, that would be amazing. That would be my dream. Maybe I live long enough to see that upgrade happening.
The global passport.
Yes.
I'm so here for it.
That would be so cool. Ah, yes. But I'm basically also almost on the way back to Germany. Let's see. For me, it's funny enough though. Like the first time I felt really at home was in Cape Town, South Africa, and that is 12,000 kilometers away. And that was my place where I was like, wow, this is my home. I feel so much more at home there. So now going to Germany, I'm more like visiting. I'm a visitor, but I don't really feel like home. So that's interesting. It would be amazing. Like it would be great to have like at least one little route there. But for some reason, it's hard for me to connect to, yeah, I don't know, Germany, Germans, which is funny because I meet Germans like you, like those amazing Germans I meet on the road. They are awesome. They have this perfect mix of being German and being international, which I really love. I really come to enjoy it like this. But then when I'm in Germany, it's a bit too German for me. I don't know. How. Do you experience that too sometimes? That you are like, oh, what is going on?
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. It's definitely not easy coming home. But this time around, I really almost forced myself to give it a go and try to, you know, not from the get-go think about, oh, actually, I don't want to be here, but really trying to allow myself to fully experience the returning part. And it wasn't easy. It was in the middle of winter. So I chose the worst timing for it. But I'm trying to sort of have a fresh pair of eyes and a fresh perspective and being a bit more open-minded to Germany as a potential place to live.
If you, like, let's say you do live in Germany and have a base there, would it be Munich or a different place?
I don't think that I will stay in Munich. The cost of living is a bit hard to manage, especially as a base. I am not sure, so I'm trying to figure out my home base this year. This will be my project. I can picture myself in other places, maybe in Berlin or other cities, but I am always going to be drawn to the sea. So there's that. I prefer to live somewhere where I have access to the sea and being able to free dive on a regular basis, because I just noticed that it is so advantageous for all aspects in my life, and I think it's something that I don't want to compromise on anymore.
No, and you shouldn't. No, not if it makes you so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. But for me, it's very similar as well. I wanted to ask you one more thing about diving. What was your, like, the most epic diving spot you've seen so far?
Um, wow, I have to think about that one for a moment. I think it's some spots are epic and beautiful, but sometimes you have that incredible encounter with different marine life that really makes, that particular spot so epic. And I remember, for instance, one that really stuck with me was swimming with a pod of sleeping dolphins. I think there were spinner dolphins in the Maldives, and there were at least 60 of them or so. I would think,
Wow.
just slowly passing by. That was very special, very beautiful. But yeah, any time that there is a curiosity between a marine species and the diver, that's those moments I really love. Sometimes you have maybe an octopus who's interested in a little interaction. It might also be a shark or a whale shark or a manta ray.
Oh.
So that's experiences that I really enjoy.
Wow, you just mentioned a whale shark. Where did you go to see them?
I don't go anywhere to see them, but if you're
Okay.
lucky, they are there to see you. So
Yes.
I know that there are some places where there's a good chance to see them. I actually haven't been on like a whale shark trip as such, but sometimes in the Maldives, they've been cruising past. They're plankton feeders. So when there's plankton in the water, or if there's conditions that make it more likely to see whale sharks, that will be a good way to go about it. And yeah, that's incredible. It's the biggest shark, the biggest fish. So they can be 10 meters or so. So definitely a pretty amazing experience as well.
That must be so insane. Like being in the water, I always try to, because I'm not very good with like, okay, that's 5 meter, or is it maybe 7 meter? I don't really know. So I always ask my boyfriend, like, would you say, like, again, I'm like a shark lover, and then I hear like a 7 meter shark, and I'm like, okay, can you make it visible? Like, how big is the shark? But now imagine you are in the water. It's like infinite anyway, and now suddenly you are there like two predators in the water, and it's not even your that's like not really my element, right? It's theirs, and they are so adapted for it and so beautiful. And I find that so, like, again, I haven't done it, but I always try to imagine what that must be like, or a different creature, but this big massive whale shark as well. Isn't that also a bit scary? Like, it's amazing, but isn't it also like, okay?
I think your brain stops thinking
Yeah.
about that when you're in the water. You're just in awe, and you're very right. It's super hard to judge distances, or in the water especially. But yeah, incredible experiences. I actually think, now that I sort of like thought through that question a bit more, my absolute favorite species of sharks are hammerhead sharks. I love them so much that I got a little hammerhead shark tattooed on my forearm. And seeing those, it's a real treat. So sometimes we went on what we call blue water dives. So you jump into water where you don't really have like a bottom or a reef. You just jump into the current, and you go pretty deep, because sometimes they hunt pretty deep, or they sometimes solitary, sometimes in schools, and then you just hang out in the blue, and you almost lose a feeling for where is up, where is down, where is left, where is right. You're just in this huge body of blue, and you just wait and hang out there, and then sometimes they circle up because they're a bit inquisitive, and then they check you out. They're hard to predict. Sometimes they are very shy, sometimes they want some interaction. So yeah, I was lucky to see scalloped hammerhead sharks on a few occasions, and that was amazing.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. It's so, so special to be out there. Like in the wild, again, that's so cool. It's not, hey, let's go to, and I don't know, like in South Africa, where it's like, hey, let's go to a national reserve. It's different when you see them out in the wild. So how special is that? It's awesome. And now I want it even more. Oh my. Okay, cool. No, but I get like even more motivated now because yeah, I really loved to hear your story, how you just went for it and how you just literally decided to go, even though not knowing what's gonna happen. So yeah, I really can't wait to also just make my way down there towards Fiji and see what happens. Yeah,
Absolutely. I
awesome.
can really recommend it to anyone to, you know, even if you might think scuba diving isn't your thing, there are so many beautiful places you can explore while snorkeling and just being in the water, witnessing some marine life. It doesn't always have to be, you know, with fancy equipment and doing expensive trips. It's just being in the water and exploring and having a good time at the end of the day.
Awesome. I love it. So cool. So before I let you go, I just wanted to share all your platforms. So when people feel like, want to connect to you, where can they reach out to you?
I would say the easiest way would be through my Instagram socials. If you want to link my name, feel free to do that. It's Rita Hencke Photos with a CK. Other than that, also happy for people to reach out through my website. There is a little contact form or my email address there as well. So however you want to reach me, I'm happy to receive your messages.
Awesome, cool. Yes, and maybe also find new partners for upcoming collaborations. That's what I really like about it. Like like with your project, you never know. It reaches in the furthest corners. People come and reach out to you. So that's why I really want also to, people to be able to connect to you if they feel called to do a project or to hire you for a new project, whatever it is. So yeah, Rita Henke at
Absolutely.
YouTube as well. So we have to, yeah, but again, I'm gonna link everything below. And if you guys out there have not seen Salt in Their Veins, then please go and check it out. It's a really beautiful documentary. And yeah, again, I love it. Give Rita a like, follow her, and support her mission if you like.
Thank you so
Cool.
much.
Awesome. Rita, thank you
Well,
so much
so
for your
nice to
time.
be chatting to you all about
Yeah.
all things filmmaking and diving and water and sharks. What a
Yeah.
pleasure.
Yes, 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 it was. Thank you so much. And I really hope maybe someday we're going to meet somewhere out in the, who knows, in what island or I don't really know, but life really happens sometimes and I love it. And I already said to my boyfriend, like, someday I'm going to dive with sharks and maybe Rita's going to be there to film it. Like, because he's like, I'm not going in the water. I'm like, no, you don't have to. You don't have to film me. But yeah, it would be such a pleasure to meet you in real life somewhere in the world. So maybe.
Absolutely. I would be honored to film you on your first shark diving trip.
Now, yes, now we said it. Now it's out in the universe. Okay, let's see what happens. But life is scary,
Manifesting
like
it.
exactly, exactly. Rita, thank you so so much, and I'm just really wishing you all the best for your future and all these amazing projects. And I really hope you also find your base. So this is your personal project. I really hope it happens for you and that you find a nice place in Germany as well, from where you can then take off to your new adventures.
Thank you so much. I also wish you all the best for your future and all your upcoming projects. And likewise, I hope you find your base as well.
Yes, I definitely will. So, to everyone out there listening, thank you guys so much for tuning in. It was a pleasure, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. If you made it this far and are still listening, thank you so much. If you want to hear more content like this, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.